Hey guys, it's Sam and Nico, and today we're doing something a little bit different. We're actually gonna be reacting to one of the latest Chris Will podcasts with the Mr. Olympia himself, Chris Bumstead. So yeah, what's your? I haven't watched it, Sam.
I when this came out, I was very surprised because I'm glad he actually spoke about it because to be a champion, you actually need to do these types of illicit drugs.
Yeah.
And when I say champion, I mean in bodybuilding terms. Drugs are prevalent in sport, drugs are prevalent everywhere. But in bodybuilding, it's on display. It's a muscle pageant. You can see it, you can physically see it. Unless you're brain dead, you're not going to think that they're natural.
Mm,
But I was quite proud because I like him as a champion and I like him as a human as well. So it was good to get a nice take on what he's
yeah.
actually doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we're not experts on anything. We're not experts on. I mean, the drugs he used and whatever health
that's right.
stuff
That's
that
right.
he needs to do. I mean, I know Sam. I think you do blood work.
Yeah, I do blood
Yeah.
work. Yeah,
And I don't, but maybe in the future I will.
in the
Actually.
future, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, we're not experts or anything, so don't take our advice on it. It's just our opinion, and we're just enthusiasts.
I know that you're quite health conscious about bodybuilding,
Yeah.
but obviously it's a very rough sport physically, psychologically, hormonally. Do you have any concerns about longevity? You know, you've done an awful lot of
Yeah.
extreme things to your body over the last decade. How worried are you about that longer term?
I mean, I think if you're a bodybuilder and you don't worry about that, you're either stupid or lying, to be completely honest. So it's something I definitely, obviously, with all my own health conditions from the past, is on the forefront of my brain. But I just manage it as best as I can. You know, there's blood work you can get done consistently to keep your markers on. There's a lot of tests. You know, diagnostics now are absolutely insane. And if you want to stay healthy long term, it's getting something, if something's going on with you, catching it early. So I do a lot of diagnostics and blood work and make sure I'm getting healthy. And ever since I was sick in 2018, my blood work's kind of continuously improved. So I know there's no like negative impact I'm putting on myself. Like,
So Chris, for those listening, he has a certain condition which not a lot of people know about. He spoke about it at length on a few podcasts early on. But he's actually got a condition which can actually attack his immune system. It's an autoimmune condition.
Oh, okay.
All right. So again, anyone with an autoimmune condition coming into the sport of bodybuilding, all right, who knows what it takes to be a champion, and then they have to do illicit drugs, steroids, to become the champion. It's a very big risk,
Yeah, it's a risk.
right?
It's autoimmune.
It's dormant with him right now. You know, I can speak to autoimmune conditions. I know a few people with them, but again, they're not doing anything as remotely dangerous as what he's doing.
Yeah.
And when I say danger, it's danger because you're redlining your body. There's only so long you can redline your body for to compete at this level, right? Which is why a lot of good champions that are healthy today, they bow out by the time they're 30, 31, 32, right? But you're seeing more and more nowadays champions competing into their 40s. There's even a guy in the Olympia, in the Open Olympia, who's well into his 50s, right?
Right.
So it's a big risk.
Yeah, that's
But again, the payoff is massive.
yeah. That's
know,
why.
And especially with Chris, he's a social media superstar. That's probably where he makes most of his money from, not from the actual competing, but it gives him a platform, you know? And look, for him to get his blood work done, that's just part and parcel of it. But there are other things you still need to do, like cardiac CT scans, plaque in the arteries, things like that. Those things should be addressed as well, not just blood work, because your markers can only go so far, right? If that makes sense. you
Yeah,
know?
it does. Yeah, that's why I'm afraid myself too to kind of like
Yeah,
delve into.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna take steroids.
yeah, no, that's right.
But I do
But-
take a steroid for my psoriasis, but it's not
yeah,
like
that's right.
it's
Yeah,
not
and
anabolic
look,
steroid.
yeah, that's right. And,
Yeah.
and look, and there's anabolic, catabolic. There's other types of steroids as well. An asthma inhaler, a Ventolin inhaler. That's a
Yeah.
type of steroid.
Yeah.
Okay, but again, it's not going to get your muscles, is it? You know,
Yeah.
it's not how it works. But they are part of medicine. They've been a part of medicine since the 50s. They're very prevalent today, and they're useful. But again, what these people are doing and how they're using it, it's a lot of pharmacology, right? So you have to know what you're doing, or
Yeah.
have someone close by you that actually understands how this actually works and off the pathways to actually get the full effect. And you know, you and me walk into how many gyms in our life and we see it. It's all around us, you know. And that's the only good thing about bodybuilding where I can speak to truth is at least it's in your face, you can see it and you can chat and you can openly talk about it. A lot of people will disagree with that and they'll say, right, it was good when it was underground and it was a secret type issue. But now that it's in the open, I feel like a lot more people understand these things instead of just this mysterious drug that people are doing and they don't understand how people get so big even with crappy genetics, which is part of it.
Yeah, again, like last time we talked about, even though you do take steroids, anabolic steroids, doesn't mean you're gonna be jacked.
No,
Like,
exactly.
but there are a lot of fake natties out there.
Exactly.
Mike O'Hearn.
Yeah, we'll leave him alone, mate. We might get tagged. We might get blocked, all right? Yeah, I know. But again, even speaking about Mike O'Hearn, that's amazing. He's like going on 53, 54 now. And again, I know he's had a few facelifts and chemical pills, but he looks bloody fantastic.
Yeah, he does.
I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, all right? And unless something happens to him, or when he dies, we'll do an autopsy on the body and actually see what's actually going on inside his inner workings.
Yeah.
But again, with things like that, it's very hard at face value to take someone's word for it, because it's so in your face. It's not like an Olympic athlete who's a sprinter, right? Who's this thin and can run.
Yep.
You can't see it. You have to take their word for it. And the trust value behind that is very intrinsic. You're thinking, oh God, okay, he's not on it, he's natural. But then with a bodybuilder coming out, come on, man. Come on.
You can see it. You can see it.
You can see it. And especially if you're in your 50s
Yeah.
and your testosterone levels decline by age, give me a break. That's just preposterous,
I've reduced a lot of the stress and negative things I put in my body and increased more of my health. Like the type of food I give in me, it's not just calories, it's actually the quality of the food and the type of food and everything that I need that like I really focus on rather than just straight macros. I've never been a macro guy, and I'm even less now because I actually care about my health. And all these aspects, like everything I know I need with my body, comes from a lot of the diagnostics I've done and vitamins and all this stuff. And I just know that I've made an agreement with myself that when these things start to falter and they start to go down, no matter where I'm at in my career, if I'm peaked, if I'm not peaked, if I'm about to be better, I just need to call it. I know that it's not worth it to me. There's a life after bodybuilding. For sure, who I am is not a bodybuilder. There's more to me than that, and I'll be happy without it. And there's no point in, like, that beautiful as this moment in my life is, it's already been a great time.
But that's really intelligent what he's saying, because there is a life after bodybuilding. If you can get in, make your money and get out, that's fine. He talks basically about just vitamins. Again, because they're legal, it's always good to have a chat about vitamins. They do help to an extent. But nothing can outwork a diet and genetics. But vitamins do help to an extent.
Yeah, that's why he said he focuses more on micro instead of the macro.
Yeah, that's right. And no, he's right, because a lot of bodybuilders in yesteryear, they were all about macros. They're just eating high carbohydrates, high protein. They kept their fats low. Whereas in the 70s, it was the opposite to all that. They were low carb, high fat, high protein. And a lot of the physiques that you see that were tapering off towards the 2000s, they were just bloated. They look crap, and again, some of that is drug induced, what they're doing with the pot gut, pot bellies and all that, but a lot of it was high carbohydrate diets, it's a look that's not so much today very popular. A look like Bumstead's physique is very attractive to the average gym goer. It's not overgrown. He's got the V taper. He looks fantastic, but what he said there is absolutely spot on, because again, there's a life after bodybuilding. It's as simple as that.
If I'm going to sacrifice my future life, hopefully with a family and my children of my own, and I'm going to be sick or unable to enjoy it with them, that's the biggest thing I would regret. So I'm staying on top of knowing where I'm at, and if it goes down, I'm just going to have to call it quits.
Yeah, I've heard you say that in the past there was compounds and things that you would have taken that now you're like, this is it's too dangerous. What are the things that for you are like off the table with regards to this is too much, this is too risky for me?
The biggest one is like trend.
Yeah.
The good old trend that like there's guys who literally like base their social media off that now. It's just like a meme of the internet, of the gym culture. And I don't even think people realize the impact that these jokes and memes have on like people coming up who just see you constantly joking and talking about saying you need more of it to like be better and feel stronger and all this shit. But that's probably the most toxic thing you can put in your body. And I've done it in the past, but I don't anymore. I just haven't touched it in like 5 years.
What's your thoughts on that? What do you know about that drug?
that's destructive, man.
It is.
A lot of people, like younger people, I mean, people my age and a little bit younger, make memes a lot about trend. Yeah. And it's funny and all that, but it paints it in a positive light than what it really is.
So trenbolone acetate, it started as parabolan, right, which was another drug that came from the Eastern Bloc countries. And a lot of your Eastern Bloc countries, right, they have a lot more experience because, again, they weren't trying to hide anything like a lot of the Americans were in the Olympics. Yeah. So they were more outright, and they have more studies to know what these drugs do, right? Whereas in America, blanket ban. Australia, blanket ban. UK, blanket ban, right? So we don't have the research as to what they do. So the trenbolone, okay, is not a pharmacological drug made by someone who's actually a PhD. It is an underground drug, all right? It's very potent. It's very highly toxicity on the liver, all right? But it works. Again, all these things work. It's as simple as that. So again, for someone to not, whether he's taken it or not in the past and he's had some adverse reactions to it, who knows? But a lot of people were relying on that drug as well in the 90s and the 2000s when it came out. So to take that, and there's another guy out there as well named Jerry Brainham. He's a very studied intellectual man, right? And he knows quite a lot about compounds in general. And there was a link that he put through, which is quite amazing, that it actually destroys brain matter. So it will actually really, if you're preset to a type of dementia or Alzheimer's, this will actually enhance that. So why would you take that? It's just stupid. And he knows all these things, you know, behind the scenes. He's probably researched it like we have.
People want the clout, man.
Yeah,
younger people want the clout. They want to look big. I think a lot of younger kids, you know, a lot of them have, you know, social media. Yeah. And they see all these celebrities, all these other people who are, you know, big on social media, and they look good. Yeah. And, you know, some of them, I don't know. I'm not saying they do take tren or other anabolic steroids. Some of them do. There are some who don't, but the thing is, you can't really tell.
We'll come back to them in 10, 20 years and see what they look like.
Yeah,
okay?
that's
Again, we had another death in the industry not long ago, that Joe Aesthetics.
Yeah.
Okay, very lean. Again, I'm not going to sit here and speculate what killed him or anything of that nature, because that's, you know, disrespectful. But again, to keep your body that lean year round, no fat on you, I mean, come on. That's not humanly possible.
But he actually was healthy.
Yeah.
And
he was complaining about a neck soreness a week prior. So,
but they had an autopsy on him, right?
Yeah. So again, risk versus reward, isn't it? Yeah. So that's the hard part.
But man, he got really good genetics, man.
He
looked like an alien.
Yeah, he looked fantastic. and to some people's taste, that's a bit too much. That's the shocking thing about bodybuilding. You either like it or you don't. It might be a bit too in your face, you know? So, but again, for most guys, we'd look at that and go, that's fantastic. You can see the fibers, you can see the twitching of the muscle, you know, and especially with the low body fat, you can sort of make out shapes. It's like those medical dummies, you know, that were all stripped back of their skin. You can actually see the muscle. Yeah. You know, confronting is the word. You know, it's just next level.
Why?
Just the toxicity it causes in your body. Like it just comes in, it harms your kidneys, your liver, just everything that takes your body to process it and go through it. It's just not natural. It's not meant to be in your body. And it makes you strong as fuck. And people say they feel like they're on top of the world when they take it. But to me, that's not really worth the health risk anymore. And another reason why I love Classic Physique is because I hit a weight cap. And I was close to my weight cap like 3 years ago. Not at it, but I could have taken more shit and really tapped out and been at the point where I couldn't put on any more weight, or I could actually take less shit and force myself to work harder, be more consistent with my diet and my training and my recovery, and then still get that result.
Do you know much about the weight cap? The weight cap in men's physique?
Not much. All I know is they've got different weight caps for different divisions. That's it.
Yeah,
Not a lot. But.
So the weight cap, as it pertains right now, is a lot of the open bodybuilders, they got really too big too quick, and people weren't actually paying attention to it.
Yeah.
So again, the physiques that you see now, the classic physique, harken back to like Arnold's era and the 70s, and even some point in the 80s before it started getting too big. But the weight cap that he's on for his height, he can't get too big. Otherwise, it's an unfair advantage to all the people that are like 5'11", 5'10" and under. So for him to actually come out and say something like that is great. If he can work harder, take less drugs, focus on his nutrition and health, then that's a lot better to all round, again, for life after bodybuilding. So,
but it would just be a little bit more effort. You know, there's a peak open bodybuilder with no weight cap probably needs to do everything to be the best. But if I can just still put in the discipline and the work and then take out some of the less shit that's hard on my body, then I'm on the same point that I would be. It's just a little bit more effort.
It says it all that you, as somebody who is competing at the highest standard of bodybuilding on the planet, is still finding compounds where you're like, that's off the table.
Yeah.
That's too much.
For sure. You can always find things to take out and things to add in and ways to get better, things that are like unnecessary, and just kind of fine tuning. And like a lot of any type of success is getting the most out of the least. And what other effort? The amount of work you put in a day, the amount of shit you put in your body, the amount of training even you do. It's just being as efficient as possible so that you're getting maximum result from minimum effort, essentially.
What he just said there, getting the most out of the least, that's fantastic. And even without drugs, if we talk about bodybuilding in general, going to the gym, don't try and go there and be like this mullet kid who's 18 years old with a tripod set up, right? And who's that appealing to? And then do a max bench press cold and then go there and just tear your pec or hurt your rotator cuff. Why? Again, that is happening. Again, not everywhere, but it's happening. And why do that? And what's the point of that? Because there's a life for all of us after whatever we do. And we want to look good for as long as possible. We don't want to blow up, stuff our endocrine system up, and then what's left? You have to go on hormone replacement for the rest of your life. Might not have kids. It's a silly thing. Absolutely silly. And the most out of the least is a good metaphor. If we're going to talk about metaphors for a second, it's a fantastic metaphor. So I think when we go to the gym and we try and just feel the pump, feel the burn, and do something in the shortest possible time frame that's going to have the most effort. What do you think of that?
And I think it's also, I think it's like, you work out a lot, and sometimes when I look at myself, you always look at your body, right? You always look at it, and sometimes you feel like you're small, but you're not, because some other people are like,
it's comparative, isn't
some
it?
people
It's
are like,
all comparative.
hey man, you're so big now, and then we're like, what? I don't know. You get
buy a medium-sized shirt, simple as that. When you're a large,
you kind of get body dysmorphia kind of thing.
And that's prevalent nowadays everywhere. That's just full on, Girls went through this in the 90s and the 2000s when I was coming up. And shit, man, it's more like for the men nowadays as well. A lot of the men have it,
But a lot of the men, men's standards with like the body, they have changed a lot, but it has become like more aesthetic.
Yeah.
But it always has been like a more fit physique ever since, because you never see like a fat action figure. Yeah, exactly. You never see like a fat action figure.
You will.
Look at my Squirtle Squad buff Squirtle, right?
Exactly. And that sells because it looks good, doesn't it? Yeah. It's a comic book standard, A lot of people wanted to look like comic book characters when they were a kid, so that's why they go into this.
Well, imagine Superman, fat Superman.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And look, that's probably coming.
Maybe. Hopefully not.
Actually.
Yeah, we've spoken before, and I think that it's a smart approach that you have of not talking about the things that you use and dosages, because it's just going to result in people doing, if I take X, then equals Chris Bumstead.
Then I'll look like Chris Bumstead.
Precisely.
Exactly, yeah.
But I think that you've mentioned before, people would be very surprised at how low those numbers are.
I think most people in the sport can look at me and be like, okay, he hasn't made much changes in 6 years. Like,
that's a good one.
Yeah,
like,
very much.
Yeah, pretty much with everyone who takes steroids or who want to take steroids. When he says, if I take X, I'll become Chris Bumstead. But every genetics is different.
And it also cancels out the training too, because if you're going to think like that and you're going to have that mindset, then you're going to go in the gym and go, I can't attain that because he's on this. He's on that, or she's on this, she's on that, which is like the wrong sort of mindset to have. I can sympathize with that mindset because they're half right. People need to stop acting like steroids aren't the cherry on the cake. They're the fucking cake. They're the whole cake when it comes to competitive bodybuilding. But for the general fitness and gaining muscle hypertrophy training, okay, you do not need them.
Right.
You can max out your own genetics first and see your potential, okay, and that's how you get a good base marker for where you're at.
Yeah, because there's, the metabolism also plays a role.
Exactly. Look, it's like a house by the sea, okay? It's a one-off type thing, yeah? There's only so many of them by the lake, yeah? It's like genetics. There's only so many good genetics out there. And you mix that with a hard mindset training in these compounds, you get a Bumstead.
I need more to be like that. Why don't I look like that? And they don't see A, my amazing genetics, shout out to my parents for that, and then B, the 10 years of work I put in that has been consistent,
Oh, I think that's it.
Yeah, that was it. So he's a person that on record I admire, and I think that he's probably going to take the sport further than anybody else in the open division or in the men's physique division because again, he's a hybrid. He's got the two mixed. He's got the social media following. He's a minor celebrity, and we say minor is probably more people watch him than CNN, for God's sake, you know. So, but I think he's going to take the sport as far as it can go. If he competes for another 2 years, you know, God love him, good on him. And then what to transition into then? So it's always been a niche sport. It always will be an underground sport. It can't be in the mainstream because of what they talk about, such as this interview that we're speaking of now. But it's still popular.
Yeah. And
you know?
he has been taking steroids since he was 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a long time.
Mm.
A long time that your balls are on vacation.
I
It is, man.
know. And look, he would probably know the risks to all
Yeah.
that. So again, he's going to just help himself out later on in life and do what he needs to do. But again, the money helps, doesn't it, to set yourself up and have an established, you know. But, you know, hopefully that he can actually get out and have a career after that.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to see another Arnold come through the
Well, I don't
ranks.
think he'll run out of a career. I mean, he is like Arnold, kind of.
Yeah.
Then,
But the charisma, no one has Arnold's charisma, let's be
Yeah.
real. So it's going to be hard to find another one of those people.
but I think he's on the right track, you know.
Yeah.
And a great role model.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because not a lot of people would admit that they're taking steroids. And a lot of influencers are, you know, again, fake natties.
Yeah, exactly.
And then denying that they ever took steroids, even though, you know, bro,
I know. But again, it's the good thing as well, because it's a positive as well, because at least it's out there in the open, they can talk about it, you know. Someone whose livelihood and living is made by, say, being an Olympic athlete or playing in a sport, say NFL, NBA, AFL, they're not going to talk about these things because they can't, because they'll get bastardized, they'll get shut down, they'll get fined, all those types of things. So it's a spectrum. What do you prefer? Do you prefer honest and open athletes, or do you just prefer things in the shadows? It's a two-way street, because no matter which one you prefer, they're actually happening. Both of those are actually happening right now. So
definitely, yeah.
You know, and then you'll say, where's the proof? It's like, well, the proof is in the times, the proof is in how they look, the proof is in the competition. Everything's improving, everything's getting better. Same old humans, everything's getting better.
Would it make a difference if everybody took performance enhancing?
Well, it depends what you're
In
going to use it for. Yeah, well, outside of sport or inside of sport?
Inside of sport.
There's a guy actually starting up a federation where he's going to do doped Olympics, and it's going to be...
No way.
Yeah, it's going to be disgraced athletes. They're the only people that are going to put their name to it, and they're going to monitor your blood work. They're going to do all the compounds for you. So, again, you got to watch that space and see how that goes. If people are going to have mass strokes and heart attacks year round, it's like, well, that's going to get shut down. So why would you even bother doing that? But again, if it gets views on social media, then it's going to go through the roof, isn't it?
Yeah, that's dangerous, I think. Because kids or people who would want to go into that sort of division would take dope.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
So.
And to say it's like a fair playing field if we're all doped up is kind of a bit of a ridiculous statement. I don't particularly think it's a fair statement. Everyone's doped up. It's a fair playing field. There's no chance, because again, genetics. It's as simple as that. You know, it's going to make you a little bit better, right, at the sport, but it's not going to make you Michael Jordan.
That's true.
It's not going to make you Lionel Messi overnight.
Not everyone. That's true, because not everyone is like Michael Jordan, or not everyone is like LeBron James.
Their genetic base. That's
Curry,
right. But if you add a little bit of the spice and the secret sauce to that person already, then boom, you're off to the races. You know,
it's just enhancing that ability that counts.
And also you're seeing a lot more people now into their late 30s and 40s that are still competing at a high level, whereas 10, 15 years ago, show me one at a high level of competition doing that. So again, for the person out there with half a brain, would they think that that's a banana a day and what a good recovery program and some vitamin C and some zinc? No, you're in a country that rewards and has high sponsorship turnover in dollars. It's worth a career. So you're going to push the markers. You're going to get something from a doctor, all right? Whether that doctor is liable and reputable, that's a different conversation.
So are you saying we're not trying to say anything, right? We're just thinking about
no names.
Yeah. Do you think the people who are older in the NBA, for example, are taking something
Absolutely.
Like, because
Absolutely.
because Michael Jordan like retired at like what?
No, Michael Jordan, he made a comeback into when he was 38, 39. I think he retired
Oh, okay.
about then. But
Yeah.
again, to say that he was on something, it's too hard. It's the too hard basket with MJ. I've watched videos of his and I've tried to actually figure that one out myself. But at that time frame that he was in, it would probably be easy to get away with back then as well. But he didn't necessarily look like he was on some substances, but the amount of games he was playing per year with the recovery time as well, he might have just been naturally gifted at that, so he might not have been. But a lot of other athletes right now that are playing, because remember, it enhances the recovery aspect. So you can go and just wreck your body and then just recover instantly, like you're 20 again.
That's true. That's true. Well, LeBron James still in the 38th, and he's playing.
I know.
He has like 47
I would
points.
say, look, I would say that's highly
on certain games.
Again, I would say that's highly suspect. But again, what do I know? But I would say that's highly
Yeah.
suspect, personally.
Or it might be just good genetics.
It might just be just good genetics. But you'd have to look at before and afters and everything and where he's come from, where he's going. But a lot of people say that, if I'm replacing on TRT, if I'm doing hormone replacement therapy, I'm giving my body what it naturally lost. Well, yes and no, and they try and validate that statement and say, right, this is what I've lost. It's natural. Well, it's still a synthesized version of the hormone going into your body, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what are you actually saying? You're saying this is natural, so I deserve to have that in my body? Well, no, you're still on a type of peptide. You're still on a steroid. That's what it is. It's not natural, and that's what a lot of these fitness influencers claim, which is just silly.
Right. Yeah.
I know, it's a dark world, isn't it? It's a deep, dark world.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Anything else on that topic?
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
Yeah.